Hello everyone, welcome back to Paul's Model Works. Today I'm going to be making a tutorial video to show you how to paint the ProTech hex fittings to look like A&N fittings used for your fuel lines and oil lines and different lines like that on your performance motors that you make for your models. So here we go. Okay, so here's a sample of some of the ProTech fittings, and they run in various sizes, some even smaller than the ones that I'm showing you here. And as you can see, compared to my finger, they are pretty small. So we're going to start out by showing you a rig that you can build to stick these fittings on there, and you'll be able to put all of your fittings on this one rig that you're going to use for your model and get them all painted at one time. And a good way to do this so that you don't lose them. To start off, here's some of the things you're going to need to build your rig. First of all, an old paint stick. This is just one I picked up from the Home Depot, and you know they give them to you free when you buy paint. And usually, you know, if you needed one and you weren't buying any paint, I'm pretty sure you could go in there and ask for it, and it would be no big deal. Secondly, you'll want some toothpicks, and so I have got a couple here. And then also you're going to need a sanding stick or sandpaper or some kind of sanding device that is not really a super fine coarse, but not a really hard coarse either, somewhere in the middle, so that you can sand your toothpicks. So you're going to want to take your toothpick and the point ends of it, you want to sand those to be just a little bit sharper. Reason for that is some of the smaller fittings are still too small to fit right over the end of one of these toothpicks. So if we sand them just a little bit sharper, then that allows for the hex fittings to fit on there. And then of course, you know, the larger the hex fitting, the farther it will slide down. So a toothpick will fit all of the hex fittings that ProTech makes. So you're just going to take your toothpick and just lightly run it back and forth across your sanding stick. You don't really need to apply pressure here, just let the sanding stick do the work, and you'll see that just after a little bit you have a really sharp tip on this. Don't know how well you can see that, but it is, I mean, it's it's very sharp. You could make a weapon out of it. So you're going to want to sand both sides of the stick so that they are nice and sharp. And you're going to want to do probably about 10 to 15 of these sticks or these toothpicks so that you have enough of them so that you can you know, put all of your hex fittings on there and you can do them all at one time. So there, that's how easy it is. You can have one stick ready to go, one toothpick ready to go in just a matter of seconds. Okay, so now I have my painting stick, and the next step you're going to want to do, and I forgot to mention this, is you're going to need a ruler. This is so you can mark on your painting stick, you know, the places that you're going to place your toothpicks. So just get yourself a little Sharpie or something, and Charlie over at ProTech, he recommends that you just place your toothpicks about 1/4 of an inch apart. So you're just going to want to go down, you know, 10 or 15 spaces. Mark yourself some little marks there, 1/4 of an inch apart, so that you've got your spacing for your toothpicks. Okay, now that you have your spacing done, then the next step is going to be to glue your toothpicks to the painting stick so that you'll have a place to put your fittings on. So just take a little bit of Elmer's glue and it'll actually hold very well, and you're just going to run right across your painting stick, just right across where you marked. There you go. Doesn't take very much. Then you're going to want to take your toothpick that you sharpened, and let me get this lined up here for you. Okay, so you're going to want to take your toothpick that you sharpened and you're going to stick it right on the glue. Get it in there, get it in place. Just put it right in the center of the toothpick, and there you go. And that won't take very long to dry at all. And you're just going to repeat that process down, all the way down your painting stick, so that you'll have all of your toothpicks on there. Now, I have already made one of these that I'm going to show you. And there you can see. So I've got my painting stick and I've got my toothpicks on there. And I have actually 20 toothpicks on this one, just so that I have plenty of toothpicks to use from. So that's pretty much your rig completed. And the next step I will be showing you guys is how to put your fittings on there and how to paint them. Now, the best paint that you can use for these fittings to give them the blue and red anodized look is this Duplicolor Metal Cast Anodized Surface color paint. And as you can see, I have the blue and the red. The blue is just called Blue Anodized, and that is part number MC201. And I got these at AutoZone, but I think you can get them at like Pet Boys, and pretty much most of the auto stores carry them. Then the red is, of course, just anodized red, and it is part number MC200. And these are just really good paints because they go on and they have a transparency to them, and they work perfectly for going onto the fittings. They are a type of lacquer, so they're pretty strong. The hold is pretty strong on the metal fitting and everything, and it will keep a nice color and give a real accurate anodized look to your fittings. So it's Duplicolor Metal Cast Anodized Blue and Anodized Red. Now we're ready to go ahead and put the fittings onto our rig that we have made to paint them. What I have done that seems to help is I've just taken my fittings out of the bag, and I've got a couple of just little plastic jars here, and I have labeled them the fitting sizes that I'm going to be working with. And right now I just have the fittings in here that I'm going to be painting red. Okay, you can see there I just have it fitted with the .042 fittings and the .032 fittings that I'm going to be painting. Okay, so what you're going to do is take your stick, and I've got it over a plastic lid here from just a plastic container. Reason for that is once I put them on this stick, they're going to stay on there pretty good. But if for some chance it gets bumped or they happen to fall off, if I keep it over this plastic lid, then I don't lose any of the fittings that fall off, and that way I'm not running into any troubles down the road. So I'm going to start with my .42 fittings here, and we'll get these put on. Okay, so I have my .042 fittings. I'm going to open this up. And you're going to want to use a pair of tweezers for this, as these things are very small. So I'm going to grab one out here with my tweezers, if I can get a hold of it. There we go. Okay, so I have one, and then you just want to stick it onto your toothpicks. I'm going to do my 42, or my .042 on this side. Get it on there nice and snug. There is the fittings on there, and just you would go on and put all your fittings on both sides of the rig, and until you have all the fittings that you would need to paint in that particular color for that particular size. The nice thing about this is you can put them all on there and get them pre-painted in advance. You don't have to go back and paint the few fittings you need for this line and then go back and paint the other ones. You get them all on here, and you can have them all painted in advance and not have to worry about doing it later. So I'm going to get the rest of these on here, and then we will get to painting them. Okay, now it's time for the good part of painting. Now, of course, I have my gloves on. You want to always make sure you wear gloves when you're painting. Keep the paint off of your hands. and it just keeps you and everything a little bit cleaner, I think. So anyway, I have brought my fittings out here, and I've carried them out on my tray just to make sure I don't lose them. You always want to carry them on your tray. You want to get your can of paint. I'm going to start with the red and shake it up real good. Always make sure you shake your paints, get all of the pigments mixed into it really good. Okay, so now we're ready to start painting. Now, as you paint, you want to go at a 45-degree angle on these. It allows for the maximum amount of coverage, since there's a lot of hard corners on these fittings. So you want to just paint 45-degree angles all the way around. Try not to go no more than a couple of coats, like 2 coats, because if you get too many coats on here, then you're going to start to lose your transparency, which is going to give it the anodized look, and they'll just become red. They won't have that metal red look to them. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get this thing painted. Just real light coats is all you need to do. Remember your 45-degree angles, and just watch as you're doing it. You can see what kind of coverage you're getting on these things, and it looks pretty good to me. It looks like I have complete coverage. So there you go. That's all there is to painting your fittings. As far as getting the paint on them. Now, I would recommend letting these things sit overnight, at least for 24 hours before you take them off of the sticks. It is a lacquer paint, so it will cure pretty quick, but I would give it a good 24 hours sitting on the stick before you take them off and start to handle them. That way you don't risk the paint chipping off or rubbing off or anything like that. Now, after you've let your fittings completely dry, to remove them off of your painting rig, this is what you need to do. It's really quite simple, and you're just going to pull them off. Use your fingers and just grab it, and you want to just pull it straight off. Don't pull at an angle or to the side or anything, because you don't want to scrape your fitting against any part of the toothpicks, just so you don't scrape off any paint. You just want to pull straight off, and you'll have to tug it a little bit because it'll be stuck on there real good because of the paint being on it. And then once you get it off, you'll be able to see what it looks like. If you take a close look at your fitting, you'll see that the side that was facing out on your toothpick, which is the side that I'm showing here, is going to have complete coverage of paint. Now, the other side of the toothpick, when you pull it off, since you painted it on the toothpick, it's going to stick just a little bit. And so therefore it's going to pull off a little bit of paint. Let me see if I can flip this over and show you that. Okay, and on this side you can see that a little bit of the paint has been chipped off, so you're going to see a little bit of that metal underneath. What you want to do is the side here that has a little bit of chipped off paint, that's going to be the side that you're going to use when you put your fitting onto your model, say for like the oil pan or something like that. This is the side that's going to actually go against your oil pan, and that way when it's glued on, no one will actually see this side. The other side that's perfectly covered in paint is your cosmetic side, if you want to call it that, and that's going to be the side that you're going to put out from the oil pan. Okay, now once you have all of your fittings off, at some point after repeatedly doing this over and over, you're going to get a buildup of paint onto your rig that you've made here. So you're going to need a way to clean that off. One of the best ways, and Charlie over at ProTech gave me this idea. He said that what you need to do is get yourself a pickle jar, because pickle jars usually have a nice big wide mouth on them, and then fill it full of paint thinner or lacquer thinner. And then you're just going to take your stick and stick it inside of there. It should fit and clear all those toothpicks. Leave it in there, then get yourself a toothbrush, some kind of scrubbing brush, and just scrub that paint off after it's been in there for a while. And your painting rig will be good as new. I wanted to finish this video off and show you guys what a completed, braided line with some of these Protec fittings on it look like. Now, of course, right here we have the Protec braided line, and then we have those 0.42 fittings right here in the anodized red, anodized blue, and then an elbow joint that I have made with the smaller 0.3 or 0.032 fitting there at the end. And then right here where you see the black wire, that is the part of the wire or the part of the fitting that will actually be connected to the oil pan on the model that I'm going to be using, as this is one of the fittings that I will be using on my model. So that kind of just gives you a little illustration there to see how cool they actually look once they're all together. And it's very realistic. They look very good. And for scale, I mean, it looks like the real deal. So hopefully this video has helped you all, understand how to paint those Protec fittings to get them to look like the red and blue A&N anodized fittings that you would find on the 1/1 car. So stay tuned for more videos, and I will talk to y'all later.